Carl and Brendan here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. We hope you had a wonderful 2022 and I look forward to 2023 because musically 2022 was very, very impressive. So much so that we are going to run you through our top 10 EPs of the year. 10 from me, 10 from Brendan. Just EPs. You can go check out a different video for albums and, of course, written articles on the site for both, as well as tracks and live performances too over the last week of the year. This is EP specifically, how EPs are defined, however you want, whether it's got 2 tracks, 3 tracks, 7 tracks, 8 tracks. If they call it an EP, it's a fucking EP. I don't really worry too much about that.
No, same.
Yeah. Okay, I'll get us started then with my number 10. My number 10 is the EP, The Antagonist, by the solo artist Neelix. This was self-released on October 7th, 2022. Now, I love Neelix. This is the work of Chris Neal from the band Solars. Last year or the year before, can't remember, a little while ago, released an album called Destinations. Fucking loved it. It was immense. And this has a similarity to that, in that your connection to this EP is going to be stronger should you have lived the experience that the story is expressing. That's really important. That being said, though, his talent, the instrumental post-rock that he plays, is so fucking good you can connect to it very, very easily and feel what is being said here, even though there's no words. That's the coolest thing of all. Once again, for me, Neelix produced a record that is simply mind-blowing. A work of genius that brings so many feelings to the surface across its runtime. Ignore the fact that it's 4 tracks only. This is not a short EP. You're going to get your money's worth here. And that is even before you take into account the actual exhaustive journey that is the whole experience as itself. Love it. I always love what Neelix pulls out. So this is number 10 of my top EPs of the year.
Cool.
Rolling.
Yep. Right, my number 10 is a very late entry in terms of like this coming out, so much so that like at the time of recording it's about a week. And it is Rotting Christ, the Apocryphal Spells Volume 1, which came out on the 16th of December through Century Media Records. Just literally the other day, like I was adding music to my music player and I was like, oh shit, I didn't know Rotting Christ were going to release something.
I think I'd heard some rumblings, but I didn't pay too much attention.
Yeah, I mean, like, they released a single, didn't they, earlier on in the year called Holy Mountain?
That's it.
But like, I don't really know what that was to do with, because like that's not on this EP or anything like that. You know what I mean? So it's like just a standalone single. So, but anyway, look, it's brilliant. It's exactly what you'd expect from Rotting Christ. It's got 5 tracks on it, although 2 of those are covers. And like I said, just what you expect from the Greek icons. It's very, very heavy. It's mystical. It's got loads of crunchy riffs. It's got powerful solos, and it's like it did in Holy Mountain. It's still got a little bit of that little evolution in there with some of the cleaner vocals, which is quite cool and quite like interesting to listen to as well. And I think it's also quite cool, like a band that's been around, sort of doing it for a long time. You know, still willing to evolve and grow a little bit and mix things up, probably for themselves as much as us. You know.
Yes.
But it's a top quality EP. It's got loads of groove in it, some proper headbanging sections mixed in. They're a band that generally I expect almost like a high bar with, to be honest with you, to a degree. You know, but that doesn't. But they still have to like hit that bar, don't they? And this EP does. So it's my 10.
You'd notice if they were half-arsing it, put it that way.
Yeah.
This is why we have made the argument for many years that end-of-year lists should not come out at the beginning of December, because there are weeks of releases still in December. That's why we always hold ours back to the very end of the actual year when things are properly dried up, and they really fucking have this year. Yeah. Goodness me, people. What's wrong with releasing an album on the 23rd of December? Anyway, right, number 9. Grimgot's Ignite the Flame, self-released on May 6, 2022. Now, this is one of those EPs where the main focus is on a single more than anything else, which is Ignite the Flame. But don't let that give you the impression that the overall product of this EP isn't brilliant, because it is from beginning to end. This is one of those where I just love what I'm hearing, including the rework track from an earlier Grimgot's album, because it's showing how far they've come and developed in their sound, how much stronger they are as musicians. It's no secret that I think this band fucking rocks. So much so that we've done probably one of the bands we've done the most reactions to.
Yep.
But more people need to know about them. More people need to be talking about them. More people need to find themselves lifted up by listening to releases like this. And I need to see this band fucking live. Ignite the Flame, Grim Gots, number 9.
Well, on a less uplifting band note, my number 9 is Abysmal Dawn and the EP Nightmare Frontier.
Oh, okay.
The Season of Mist release earlier on in the year. I know who Abysmal Dawn are. I knew who they were going into this, and I kind of knew what to expect, which is, you know, just
happy music,
heavy, strong death metal. LA death metal times. Like the other thing that was weird with this EP, right, is that it is a concept EP inspired by Bloodborne, which is a video game, I believe, but I don't know anything about Bloodborne, so it didn't have like.
Let me quickly jump in here. Then this is, of course, Bloodborne, the game that was released for the PlayStation 4 or 5, whichever one it was, but it comes from the developer, the company, From Software, who, of course, Dark Souls. Bloodborne is a Dark Souls game.
Okay. Okay, I know what Dark Souls are. There you go.
Yeah.
But like in terms of the music on this, it had like so little impact on the fact that it was video game related at all. Like, to be honest with you, it was just like a really, really strong, uncomplicated release. You know, it's just punchy, top quality death metal. A couple of flourishes here and there that helped them stand out from the crowd and have helped them be around for a long time and be a well-respected band in the genre. You know, I guess for me, like sometimes, not all the time, because I do like music to be expansive and daring. You know, but also sometimes it is nice to just have something that's quite simple, you know, and this is refreshing in its simplicity. It's just, it doesn't really require you to spend too much time thinking about it or introspective thinking. It's just like, just let loose, bang your head and enjoy. It's just a quality death metal release.
Amazing. I actually like the CP too. Didn't make my top 10 because I don't have that association either with Bloodborne, even though I knew about it. Come on, people. Where's our Elden Ring fucking themed EPs and albums?
I was gonna say I don't know what that one is either. But
well, that's From Software as well. That's like that one Game of the Year at the Game Awards, Brendan. The Game Awards. You watched a bit of the Game Awards.
I'm so far behind on games. I was just thinking, like, what am I playing at the moment? I was like, all right, where's my Football Manager 2022 inspired heavy metal release?
That's a modern game. That's still cool. All right, number 8. Funny enough, the way you described your last one is the exact same way I described this next one, which is simplicity. And sometimes that is fucking perfect. It is Great American Ghost. The EP is Torture World, released by MNRK Heavy, released all the way back in January 21st of this year. This is just a raging, snarling beast, a frothing mania of head-crushing, body-beating, soul-rendering hardcore heaviness. It's spitting furious bile at the injustice of the world in simply captivating fashion. It's one of those where I just loved that it was bang from beginning to end, short and to the point, and it wasn't fucking around. It was, this is us, and it's so heavy and it's so aggressive and so angry that at the time I was like, nothing's topping this for heaviness. Back in January, I was saying that, so that it had quite an impact as well. But I just love the fact that, like you said it already with the previous one, it's just nice to have this sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Not too dissimilar again, really, on my next one, but it's a little bit more expansive. And this is the EP called Death Right by the band Delirium. So German black and death metal band. And Delirium came out on the 9th of April. It's very, very raw, very heavy, very rough to listen to, like in a pleasing kind of way, you know. Despite that kind of rawness, the blackened side of it is quite atmospheric, really. You know, it's quite, but like very, like kind of, it's not doomy in terms of style, but doomy as in like it's quite down and dirty and, you know, suffocating and like quite relentless sometimes in like how, you know, filthy it is and how it keeps kind of hitting you with that. And then just like we love in this sort of music sometimes, just out of the darkness and shadow will suddenly this like high toned piercing guitar solo will just, you know, like force that little pinprick of light like through it. And then before it all kind of closes up on you again. It is a very heavy album, you know, and it is definitely black and death for the most part, but just with like tiny touches, you know, a little bit of doom or gaze, and even it's not quite, but like a thrashy sort of vibe in some of the solos. It's a really, really cool release.
Cool. My number 7 off to France for this one, for the band A. with the EP Traverse. This was self-released on February 28th, 2022. A band I was already familiar with before this EP, knowing them as a combination of melancholic, well, basically melancholic black metal. And this EP embodies that perfectly. It's not a massive switch up for the band, kind of just doing what they do so very well. But this is just haunting, destructive music. 3 tracks of belligerent heaviness, but with deep emotion running through it. It's one of those brilliant releases that kind of just leaves you feeling all cold and sad over, but man, you just want to go back and listen to it again because it is so affecting and it has such incredible detail. It's brilliant. It's 3 tracks long. Traverse, check it out. That's my number 7.
My number 7 is, I believe, the heaviest thing I've listened to regularly this year.
Okay.
So the EP is called Hate Monolith by the band Xenobiotic. Released it on the 2nd of September via Unique Leader, one of 3, I think, or maybe even 4 Aussie bands like that made my list. It was like, go Australia.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Banging scene over there.
Yeah, and like this shit is like, it's called Hate Monolith, and like hate is kind of what you get from it. Like you feel like absolute anger coming through this man. Like it's intensely heavy, it's very extreme, very aggressive from like the first note of the first track through to the end of the EP with very little kind of, oh, we'll let them have a breather, for a second. They're like, there's no breather. Just feels very angry. You kind of get that, you do feel that coming through. It feels like the band are angry, and they, you 100% sort of feel, you kind of come out of it feeling angry yourself, which I'm not sure is always a good thing. You just come out of it like, oh, I'm furious now. I don't know what I'm angry about, but I'm fucking angry. Very, very strong vocals, really, really powerful, like vocal in it, and also amazing drumming. So yeah, like I said, for me, like looking back now, like, some forget some of the things you might have listened to, but in my memory, it's the heaviest slab of metal I've listened to this year, and it's very, very effective.
Yeah, I always think when you have that thought frame of like, oh, this is the heaviest thing I've listened to this year, or will be the heaviest thing, there's a reason why you've come to that, because we've listened to how much heavy music over the fucking years. So if something still has the ability to make you go, holy shit, this is heavy, it's notable regardless.
Like, like you said, you listen to a lot of this stuff, right? Like all different styles and everything, but you can like, heavy can mean different things in different styles, right? Do you know what I mean? Like it when you're into the sort of like the death metal side of things, whether it's progressive or whatever, or black and death, like heavy often also comes with like sort of darker tones and lower tones and everything like that.
Of course.
And I just kind of remember like listening to this album and being a little bit like, I might like wait till someone else is around, like, before I listen to this. It's a bit like scary. I mean, like turning the lights on and shit before I listen to the EP because it's like so angry.
There you go. There's a selling point, people. Scared Brendan. Okay. Number 6. And from Australia, from you, over to the UK for Alpha Omega's EP Crows of Golgotha, self-released on April 15th, 2022. This was awesome to have this band come back after a couple of years, kind of not quiet, because they regularly play shows in the kind of local area. But we hadn't really heard anything musically from them for a while, and this is them thrashing as hard as possible. I think this was a real step up for this band. Stronger, tighter, just as a modern thrash unit. Pure headbanging, spiritual levels of headbanging gold here. This is just a banging modern thrash album with old school vibes that, if you're a thrash metal fan, you should fucking lap this up so easily. To me, it doesn't get much better than this. The fact that they're from the UK as well is all the better. It's number 6, Alpha Omega, Crows of Golgotha.
Cool. And now from England all the way back to Australia. Weird world tour we're doing.
Yes.
And this is a debut EP, a project, I suppose, called On the Shoulders of Gods by Vic Veneer.
Oh, okay. I know the name.
It's an Australian black metal project, released the EP on October the 22nd. Something that was born out of the isolation and in pandemic years, like in 2021. So Vic Veneer, which is the black metal project of one guy called Zachary Carlson, who's an Australian musician, vocalist, and composer. And I guess during isolation, taking him out of the band. I don't actually know what bands he's involved in or what else he did outside of this. But I guess this was, one of those talented people, isn't it? You're like, oh, I'm not isolated. I haven't got anything to do. I know. I'll just release a full fucking black metal album because I can play all the instruments and shit, which is bullshit in terms of this talent sharing. It's very black metal. It is. It's quite traditional at times, like very raw, organic sounding drums, dual waves of blackened guitars, buzzing kind of analog synthesizers. Lots of varied vocals though, and like blackened sort of howly stuff, guttural growls, so we get like quite deep. But also like just little moments within songs where we get some more sort of somber chants and choir sort of singing as well to just expand it a little bit. It's very intense, very emotional. It's very heavily layered and intricately composed songs. It's not traditional black metal. It's like progressive black metal, but still played like with a raw sound, like you might expect from traditional. And it's quite cool and quite unique sounding. But it's very, very all-encompassing. It's this sort of stuff, you can quite easily get lost in and like not really become too aware of your surroundings or time passing as you're just sort of listening to all the different elements and picking different things out, especially if you have headphones on, where you can really kind of hear how many layers of intricacy have been built upon each other. As this guy who just had nothing to do decided to just make like one of the best EPs to me of the year, so yeah.
So staying in Australia for number 5, because I've got a band from Australia too. It's Sugar Spine with the EP Mirror Talk, self-released April 22nd, 2022. This is a band, it always makes me laugh, man, because this is a band that's simply, melodic metal. I was like, all right, cool, melodic metal from Australia with metalcore tendencies. Haven't heard that before. Thing is, man, once you listen to this band, whatever expectations you have, they are completely wrong. Dismiss them. You won't be right. They are an amalgamation. I can never say that word. Combination of different things, and this EP combines emotionally focused rage with modern metalcore elements, but in your face ruthlessness that gets a lot of heaviness with some surprisingly well done old school new metal style flavors. It ends up being a really kind of fresh sound that, to be honest, I think will just knock a lot of people in their asses when they hit play. I really fucking love this EP. Absolutely played it to death when it first came out.
Now, I'll take us back to the UK. So we're basically just flipping between Australia and the UK at the moment, I think.
Yeah, basically.
But so next one for me is Rituals, Show Me the Signs. So UK-based band, Newcastle, contemporary metalers. So I'd probably say like Show Me the Signs is the name of the EP. And
yeah.
Rituals are the band. I didn't know an awful lot about Rituals before listening to this EP. Saw it come through in the emails. Like, I think I needed something at the time, so I'll grab this one. I did know the name though. I felt like I knew the name, and reading the kind of PR release that came out, there was like a lot of like snippets from other magazines and stuff like that. And there was an awful lot of positive press in the PR pack that kind of come along with it. So I was like, oh, okay, that can sometimes be a good thing. It could also sometimes be a bad thing, because it sort of sets an idea in your head of like what they're going to be before you've listened to it, especially when everyone else is going, these guys are the next big thing. And then, I don't know, sometimes that can like sort of step you back a little bit on the defensive to go, right, prove that to me then, rather than being so open-minded. But
of course,
I did come out of it very, very impressed. Like there's so much variety on it. It's a short release, a couple of tracks, I think 3 tracks. But it does show like a lot of ability across the songs, from beautiful, clean melodic catchiness, but being able to also ramp things up and let anger and frustration out. I think they are kind of, I don't know what they're categorized at, but it was kind of like, to me, it was kind of like on the metal kind of core sort of edge. You know what I mean? Melodic metal, maybe, that sort of thing. But it's a really, really strong EP. One song in particular, Ocean Subside, would have been enough on that EP for it to get into my list anyway. So that's the track, more so than anything else that you can't.
That's the thing with an EP. Sometimes one track's enough for it to get in a list because it's a handful of tracks.
But it's nice to come out of something and agreeing with the majority press. I think these guys are really fucking good.
Okay, World Tour continues. We're off to Slovenia for Zoria with the EP Escapism, self-released July 4th, 2022. This is an EP, should I say, of basically blackened metal, very harsh sounding, but with dark, mood-altering atmosphere. It is, I described it as Zoria sound in pain. The vocal howls in particular make things so much colder and harsher. However, it's the instrumental section that is clean and melodic that really, really adds a lot to it. Basically, a drawn-out slice of suffering that oozes atmosphere and holds an underlying prettiness. It's a triumph of an EP. I really, really enjoy it. That's a very bite-sized chunk of brilliance that Zoria are capable of doing. I think if like you're new to this band, this would be a great thing to do because it's such a small release that like it's a couple of tracks you're literally going to be over within 15 minutes and you'll get a really strong impression of what they are capable of. That's my number 4.
Cool. And one last time, I promise, we're going back to Australia. And this is for the EP Scorched Reprise by Icarus Lives.
Okay.
So Perth-based melodic metalers, blending traditional metal and melodic rock elements. It's kind of how they're described, which can sometimes end up also feeling like a bit metalcore-y. But that not in a bad way, but I guess, you know, traditional metal, melodic rock, and then melodic metal. It's like the lines between some of these genres are quite thin. But, you know, this EP came out back in April the 22nd. It's a phenomenal release, a really, really good blend of like those traditional metal elements in particular, but like the heavier side as well. So not just it's very exciting. Like I just listened to it knowing nothing about the band. I just felt like they really balanced everything very, very well. It's very captivating to listen to. Didn't know like anything at all about them. Know a bit more about them now because I have listened to some of the other stuff around it, and I think like the EP, which does have quite a few different styles across the songs that are on it, is like a really good, like you were just saying there, it's the perfect introduction to this band because it will just, you know, there'll be like there'll be something in one of those each of the songs on it that you'll probably take out of it, and if you don't like one track, you like the other. So it's almost like, I don't know, like a market. It's not, but it feels almost like a marketing CD. It's like, all right, here's what we can do across these 3 or 4 tracks, you know, see what you take out of it. But yeah, I really like it. I played it a lot. I still do play it. I think it's really, really strong. And there's something in the water in Australia. They are still having it.
Yes, they are indeed, because we're staying with Australia for my number 3. It is the band Atlas, ALTVS, with the EP The Wound, The Blade, self-released on July 15th, 2022. And this was them returning, man, with a bloody great big band where this is where you have that always fascinating complaint sometimes with an EP where you complain about the length because it's simply fact it's so good. You're so into it. You're so into the creativity, the heaviness, the booming noise they're creating, the metalcore intensity they're bringing to the table that like it's over and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, I could have done with a track or 2 more, you know, that kind of thing. And you know, you're not going to get an album just yet because this EP's just come out and so on. But yeah, this one kind of really didn't expect to resonate with me because it kind of felt, as I said, descriptive wise, was very much like, okay, oh, you've heard this sort of stuff before. You know, we're looking at a metalcore band here. You know, it's going to be heavy. You know, it's going to be mixing like a lot of electronica and elements like that. But it just really, really resonated with me. Absolutely. Number 3.
Really? My number 3, I'm going to Canada this time. And this is the EP is called Rune Tongue, and the band are Cougar. They're spelled Cogadh, but pronounced Cougar. Canadian black metal duo. Because you only need 2 people in black metal bands.
Of course,
all these other bands with more than 2 people. What on earth are they there for?
Unbelievable.
You need a drummer, a vocalist who can also play the bass. Don't need guitars or any of that shit, do you?
Nope.
You know, so like it's a debut EP for these guys, right? So they are certainly respectful towards traditional black metal. There are elements of traditional throughout, but they wouldn't be. You know, you kind of feel like gatekeepers would do their nut.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You know,
Okay. Yeah.
You know, too many additional moments, especially as actually in one song in particular, my favorite song on the EP called The Familiar Cold, there's actually clean singing. You know, so try and get that past the gatekeepers in traditional black metal. You know, it's very, very heavy, but it's also very atmospheric. You know, it's progressive, I suppose, maybe post black metal. Lots of atmosphere, lots of rhythms in it, lots of like groove elements like to it as well at times, where you feel like you can proper bang your head along to it. Thrashy riffs, clean vocals, like I said in the song The Familiar Cold, like all of those little things within the tracks. Like it's like you're listening to traditional black metal that every now and then just chucks something memorable in there, like a little moment that just takes that song and elevates it like up a few levels, things that stick in your mind. Yeah, so intelligent EP I found really, really creative, but also with that cool traditional edge to it as well, so yeah, my third favorite EP of the year.
The nitty gritty. And I think you said it before in other videos, and I said here as well, the light between these top three is very, very close. It really could have been either or. My second favorite EP of the year, it's just across the border from Canada, funny enough. It's in the US of A, and it's the band Pathos and Logos. Self-released this EP on June 24th, 2022. I don't think it's any secret that like Pathos and Logos are well regarded on GBHBL overall, an instrumental duo who do some really impressive, progressive, complex instrumental work that can be incredibly expansive, incredibly catchy, incredibly memorable music. But we're also having a kind of base around the sort of idea that is Pathos and Logos, and the detail and the sort of magic, that's with a K as well, that they kind of infuse into their music and how they express that. There's a great interview where they go into a lot of detail about those specific beliefs and thought processes that they fuse it and make part of their experience. And this EP kind of carries that on, being cult. It's detailed, it's complex, it's meaningful. This has got some of I think the band's most creative work to date. Whereas like with the album, I could probably point out one or two tracks. I'm like, yeah, maybe that wasn't as good. This EP is just beginning to end, wall-to-wall banger, absolutely brilliant. Where you almost want to study it with a notepad as while you're listening to it as much as anything else. It's one of those bands where I'm generally like, we can't be the only ones talking about them, right? But it feels like it sometimes. Come on, the rest of the world, get your shit together. That's number two.
At least for you, I don't think my 1 and 2 probably won't be quite so unknown. So my second favorite EP of 2022 is the EP Nebula by B. Hayes Miasma. They're back again.
Yes.
German post-black metalers, completely unknown entity before this EP drops on the 8th of January via Supreme Chaos Records. But obviously a band that are very firmly on my radar, a band I've spent most of the year talking about or trying to force other people to listen to songs via reactions and whatnot. I think they're amazingly talented. I really do. I think they're creative and talented. I think they've got that knack for creating like massive soundscapes to lose yourself in and balance heaviness with kind of melancholic beauty that I guess that whole post thing, you kind of want to see those sort of balances and clashes, I guess, sometimes as well. I think they're phenomenal. From 3 tracks on it, the exciting title track Nebula, one of my favorite songs of the year, and Hypocrite, another Vicious Grimace, and even a piano ballad cover of an older song from an album before called Hubris. So 3 tracks, but 3 tracks of immense variety, because all 3 of those tracks are supremely different, and of, for me, like immense quality as well.
Amazing stuff. Yeah, I couldn't have guessed yours because the EPs tend to be a bit more wild and around the place compared to albums. There hasn't been, to be honest, a ton of EPs compared to previous years this year that we've covered. So, but I'm going to end in the UK, and it's an UK band. And what I see is the next band in the sort of world that I kind of categorize things like Harriet and Pupil Slicer. Whereas they broke through the glass ceiling, I think this band is probably the next one that's going to do it, because they're similar style of music in a metallic hardcore style of thing. It's Grief Ritual with their debut EP Spiritual Disease, released September the 9th, 2022. Now, I have to preempt this because, it caused a lot of confusion for me. There is an interview where details like that are explained and stuff like this. But this Grief, because when this came away, I was like, how is this a debut EP? We interviewed this band in 2019 at Bloodstock. What was it, just singles they had there? And I was very confused. This is Grief Ritual Reborn. It's not the Grief Ritual of 2019. It is part of the same band, but this is a reborn Grief Ritual that's found their sound, so much so that their early work they now consider demos. And this is why they've gone with the debut EP at this point. But what they've evolved into is generally absolutely awe-inspiring stuff. It's even a little bit terrifying. It's a triumph of release spiritual disease. 5 tracks that are genre-defying, but so focused. Like the amount of work and effort they put into making this sound exactly what they wanted it to be, where it's proper intense noise, but it's so measured and so thought out that you just know, oh my God, I can see exactly where this band's trajectory should be taking them. It was exciting going into it. I was excited afterwards to see what comes next from this band. Yeah, my favorite EP of the year, Spiritual Diseases from Grief Ritual.
Very cool. And I go to Norway for my favorite EP of the year. And not so exciting once I say it, and you'll be like, oh God, of course. And it is Haunted by Silhouettes, No Man Isle.
Well, I mean, I know it, but
yeah, from Eclipse Records. So, Melodeath. I love Melodeath. But also, like, I feel like this has got a bit more. It's like, what is it, 5 tracks long? Even from the very beginning of the CP, the very first track, which is just like an instrumental, but like almost, not quite symphonic, but it has a symphonic lead. If you listen to this without knowing anything about the band, you would be forgiven to think this was about to go into a power metal album. Like this was that sort of build-up track. But instead, what you get after that are 3, a bit more sort of straight to the point, more expected sounding Melodeath songs, all with like plenty to offer, but probably more stereotypical. Before then ending on the song No Man Isle, which again is completely not typical. It's got elements of Melodeath, but it also shows like more to it. It's like I said, I've claimed it as being the best melodic death metal release I'd heard in years. I still feel that to be correct. So it was impossible for it to like not be in this top 10. And also, if it's the best release in years, it's got to be the best release of the year, right? So yeah, I think it's fantastic, ticking all the boxes for Melodeath fans, but it just offers plenty more. So yeah, my favorite EP of the year.
As always, a fascinating list. There we go, folks. We didn't double up on any, did we? I don't think we did.
No, I don't think so.
There you get it. So we've given you 20 top tier EPs to check out if you haven't checked any of these out, or you still need to check out a handful. We've given you a list there. But what are some of yours? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?